welcome to On the Cusp with Daphne, a place where inspiration meets evolution. With today set to be one of the hottest days in London, with the mercury rising 36 degrees, still rising, set to reach 37 degrees, and tomorrow maybe 39, in some areas 40. It remains to be seen. I thought I'll come to you with yet another hot topic: how to pass your life in the UK test at the first sitting. As part of my application for the indefinite leave to remain in the UK, i.e. the permanent residency, this is amongst the requirements you need to fulfill before your application is considered. This is a second video in a three-part series wherein I tell you about how you can apply for the leave to remain in the UK. The first part of the video, which I'll link here, is on how I applied for my extension to extend my visa when I reached a 3-year mark, my tier 2 visa, which is now referred to as the health and care worker visa. That video is linked in the description box and as well as the top here. The second video is today, which is how I passed my life in the UK test. And the last video is going to be on my indefinite leave to remain permanent residency application thereof, as well as the benefits. Stay tuned to the channel as I bring you more on this very important topic. Without further ado, can we please put our hands together for the channel for reaching a 4-digit subscription? Thank you so much for your help, for your support, for helping me reach a very important milestone, 1,000 subscribers. The good news I woke up to this morning. Thanking you so much. And as a way of what we are doing as a channel for a giveaway, I'm going to link a very short video here that tells you what we are doing to celebrate that milestone and paying it forward more than anything else, and taking our eyes off ourselves for a bit and focusing on other people and a giveaway. Stay tuned. If you're coming across this channel for the first time, a warm welcome to you. I'm Daphne, based in the UK. I bring you insights into job opportunities in the UK, support thereof, immigration related matters such as a video like this one, all the advice and tips based on my lived experiences in the UK. I also bring you information, health, wellness, and fitness related matters. Stay tuned to the channel. And for my returning subscribers, a big thank you. You are highly appreciated. And please remember to like my videos, to share, as well as to comment below. Turning on your notifications bell will help alert you when I post a video in future. Kindly do so. In the video linked is where I was telling you how I extended my UK visa at the 3-year mark. And now the time came to 5 years when I needed to apply for indefinite leave to remain, i.e. the permanent residency. As a foreign national, having lived in the UK for 5 years, any foreign national can at this point apply for indefinite leave to remain. What does that mean? It simply means you will be free of all of the conditions of your visa, which typically tie you down to working for one employer. It also restricts what work you can do, what sectors you can work in, how much overtime you can do, businesses and things like that. It has all sorts of restrictions, which I can go into in a separate video. But simply reaching this point simply means you are able to just do you as and how you please. You have no restrictions on who you work for. You have no restrictions on how many hours you want to work. Basically you become a permanent resident, benefit from the same benefits as citizens, except you do not have a British passport at this point. And also it means you can have recourse to public funds like benefits. Remember, in the linked video is where I told you as a visa holder, you have no recourse to claim any benefits in the UK whilst you're on a visa. But as soon as you reach the permanent residency status, that falls off and you can claim some benefits if you need to. Should you come to a point where you need to claim any benefits, you will be entitled to those benefits. So in essence, you are a British citizen without a passport. It does have a few restrictions in terms of how long you can be out of the UK for and things like that. However, it's a lot more relaxed compared to when you are on a visa. In today's video, I share with you my lived experiences, the tips, the things that I did, as well as the cost of taking this test. Who is this video meant for? This video is meant for you that's about to undertake this test. You've been in the UK, it's coming up to 5 years now, or you that's arrived in the UK and has no knowledge of the rules around the visa, And you that's just arrived in the UK or have been in the UK for a few years on any type of visa, it's important for you to learn these things now so you can adhere to the rules. So when it comes to the stage, you've not violated or broken any rules of your visa, as well as you that's still outside the borders of the UK, envisioning and hoping to come in one day. Start learning these things now so that when you land, you are familiar with how the UK immigration rules work.
Can do it like you.
As someone who's recently undertaken this test and passed it at the first sitting to become a UK permanent resident, I thought who to better bring it to you when it's still fresh in my mind. I'd like to break this video down into 4 elements: basic information, the how to study for the exam, how to book for the test, as well as what happens on the day of the exam. Stay tuned, remain on the cusp with Daphne, a place where inspiration meets evolution. And if you've not subscribed to my channel, please click on the subscribe button below and don't forget to click like on this video. So what is the Life in the UK test? You're probably wondering at this stage. This is an exam that is used to test your knowledge about life here in the UK. It covers aspects of history, the sport, UK government laws. It also tests your capability in the understanding, command and comprehension of English. Although this is done indirectly because they don't call it an English test, you can only take it in the English language. It's a computer-based exam, and to undertake one will cost you £50. Should you not pass at the first attempt, you do get a chance to resit this exam, except you can't do it within a period of 7 days. You need to wait 7 days and you'll still pay £50. It's a computer-based exam comprising of 24 questions, which you're allocated 45 minutes to get through. Of the 24, the requirement is for you to pass 18 questions to be deemed competent. So a scoring of 18 out of 24 will see you pass this exam. With videos such as this, my hope is that you sit for this test once and you pass it. Once you achieve the 75% required pass mark, the beauty of this exam is that it does not expire. You can then use it when applying for your indefinite leave to remain or your British citizenship. It has no expiry date. In the next part of the video, I'd like to talk about what to study and how to study. The nicest thing about this exam is that all the questions are randomly selected by the computer and are all pulled out from this book. So by studying this book, you are guaranteed that you are on the right track. Did I use only these books to study? No. A friend of mine who recently sat for his exam just before I went for mine lent me his copy of the book, which is this one, which is this copy, and I used it to study. But upon looking closely on my emails that was sent to me following my confirmation letter, there was so much mention on how I should be using the latest edition, which was the 3rd edition. Although this book did not really state what edition it was, when I looked online, I found there was another edition which said it was the 3rd edition. So I went ahead and bought this book. By the way, you can also opt for the ebook. You don't necessarily need a hard copy. So I went ahead and bought the 3rd edition, which I also then used to study. Especially because there had been some changes in the UK since the release of the 2020 version. At this point, I expected to see some changes in the latest edition. There had been a couple of things that had happened which I expected to be in the latest book, were information about the referendum. Following the whole Brexit process, the UK had already exited the European EU, and I expected that information to be here. Another big change that I expected to be here, hence I bought the book, was the information on the passing of the Duke of Edinburgh, the Queen's husband. He'd already passed on between the release of the 2020 book and the release of this one. I expected such information to be in the book, and to be frank, I'm yet to see a difference between the two. To be honest, the two versions are exactly the same. This book, although it was a 2021 version, it was not updated as I expected, and it is exactly the same as the 2020. Don't forget, these are the books we're giving away for the 1,000 milestone, for the 1,000 subscription milestone, to pay it forward to make sure you also pass your exam with ease. And they're still current. They still have a lot of information. If you drop me your address, I'll post them to you at no charge to yourself at all. I'm happy to post them to you at no charge at all. Ideally, I'd like to send both books to one person as opposed to two different people, but we'll see.
We subscribe
for you to
to
pass
your channel.
UK exam with ease. I mentioned that I didn't just read the books alone. There are two YouTube channels, which I'll link in the description as well as on top here, that I found extremely useful, and I spent a lot of time on these two channels, and they did help me a great deal, including using their test questions, including going through their test questions with them. Otherwise, it will make the video unnecessarily longer. I'm going to link them for you so you can check them out. I found them very helpful, very useful, and they were great to rehearse and practice with. Another awesome giveaway I forgot to tell you about is the practice questions book, which you will be getting with the other two books. I also went ahead and bought this book, which contains all the practice questions within it as per the guide. This is the guide, and these are the practice questions in here. All of the stuff is obtainable online, but it depends on what your method of study is. This is the guide, and this is the book on the practice questions that enables you to revise as you go through each chapter. All of these materials are available online as well, but this is what worked for me, including the two websites that I will link for you in the description box and in the information cards during the course of this video. And should you want to buy them, they're available on the UK government's website as well as on the popular sites such as eBay and Amazon. I bought mine from Amazon. I'll attach the links in the description box. Don't forget to make use of your local library. They may have the latest copy, and if they don't have, just ask them for a copy. They may be able to secure it from you from another library. And lastly, in the recent video, I did plug you into an awesome resource called the Z Library. It might just be worth checking it out. I haven't checked the Z Library yet for this book, but it may be something worth checking out. The Z Library is a website that contains a whole lot of books that got recommended to me recently by a dear friend, which I knew nothing of. So check it out, your local library as well as the Z Library. Who knows, you may not even have to pay anything for these books if you don't get the giveaway ones, if you don't get the giveaway ones that I'm giving away. The 5 chapters that are covered in this book include the values and principles of the UK. Number 2, chapter 2, what is the UK? 3, the long and illustrious history. Chapter 5, a modern thriving society. And the last chapter is on the UK government, the law, and your role. This is the size of the book. The best thing you can do, obviously, as with everything else, is to start early to avoid cramming, to avoid memorizing. There are days, however, that you may find necessary to memorize as you study. It just depends on your style of study, but the earlier you start, as with everything else, the better. The advice I got from people who recently sat for this exam, which I found helped me, that's not typically how I would study, but it was useful in this instance, is to start by answering questions, which made me realize just what I didn't know and what things I needed to focus on. Even if your answers are incorrect, it's fine. Don't be hard on yourself. Just start by practicing the questions and then going to read the content, which then reinforces it. It's a very different way of studying, but it has worked. It did work for me, and I'm grateful for the advice. So for me, as I studied along the way, I was just scribbling notes and having some key notes as well as highlighting the book. I tried not to highlight it a lot, as I knew I will be passing it on. The 2020 version is already highlighted by my friend. It's still easy to read, but as I knew I'll be passing mine on, I tried not to write on them too much. But I was making notes on the side, and that I found very helpful and useful. Hopefully that covers the studying aspects, the studying materials, and the how-to. Let's talk about the booking of the actual exam. You need to book at least 3 days in advance before you write. This is done online. You need to do this via the UK government's website. But given the demand there is for these tests, many of the 30 sites across the UK have quite a significant waiting period, which can therefore delay your application. In my case, I submitted my application first and then went ahead to book this appointment. People that undertook this test before me had warned me to be prepared, to be willing to travel out of London, where appointments were much more easier to get, as the waiting times in London, especially at the height of COVID, were quite long. There were long waiting periods for people to get their appointments, and people were willing to travel as far out as Southampton, Basingstoke and elsewhere to go and undertake their exams. However, when my time came, I was quite fortunate that there was a booking. I think within 1 week's period, I was able to secure a booking, which was quite fortunate and very local to where I live. So that was not a headache for me, but it's just worth checking out to avoid any delays for your application. Sure, there are instances where people have had to wait for months before they could get their slot. This is mainly due to the social distancing regulations, limited appointments. And like I said, the alternative to this is to be willing to travel slightly far out of your local area to go and attend one of these appointments. That might be the solution around this challenge. Whilst talking about the booking of the appointment, the 3 things you will need are a valid email address, a debit card, as well as an accepted form of ID, be it in the form of a biometric residence permit or a passport like I did in my case, or if you have an EU national identity card, that's another form of ID that can be accepted for booking your appointment. In my case, I used my passport. Tips such as ensuring that your name on the booking form is exactly how it appears on your identity is crucial, and you'd also need to bring the original identity form that you used, identity document rather, that you used on the day of the appointment. Photocopies or scanned copies are not accepted, so you will need your original document to bring along to the appointment on the day of the appointment. The next part of the video focuses on my experience on taking the Life in the UK test. Although the exam itself is computer-based, you need to show up for this exam. It cannot be taken remotely. There are 30 centres across the UK where you can sit for this exam. You need to choose the one most convenient to you, preferably the one closest to you if the date does not interfere with your plans. Otherwise, look at the one that offers you the nearest date if it is not an inconvenience for you to get to it. The other thing you need to do is to come alone, no friends, no family allowed. Needless to say, you need to be on time. Allow yourself at least half an hour. They do say about 15 minutes. I'd say about half an hour given the amount of time spent outside queuing and being ushered in and going through the necessary checks with the admin staff before your time to write starts. When you go sit for the Life in the UK test, the one tip I can give you is to carry as little as possible, because a lot of the things are not allowed in and there will be checks that you go through. So the fewer the things you carry, the less checks you have to do. On the day of the appointment, on arrival, after waiting outside with a couple of other people that were also coming to sit for their test, we were called in individually and had our identities verified against the names on the register, as well as to confirm that you were the right person sitting for the test. At different stages of this process, your identity will be verified more than once, as well as until recently, there was also a need to check the proof of address. In my case, I didn't need to, but a friend of mine that had gone prior to me had needed to provide the proof of address. Due to COVID regulations, you're also shown into a bathroom where you are going to wash your hands, not sanitize, wash your hands, have your temperature checked, be in a mask. By the time you walk in, you're already wearing a mask anyway. And so is everyone inside, as you can imagine. My documents were scanned and I had my photo taken, after which I got shown to a locker where I needed to put everything in there except my identity, like my mobile phone, handbag, jacket, anything big, you leave in there. And just to make sure that you don't have any recording devices on yourself, including the smartwatch, these are things you need to have locked away. At some point, I got body search, and everyone goes through the process, body search, to make sure you have no recording devices on yourself as you go into the exam venue. It's actually on entry to the test venue, the final test venue where I was taking my exam, where there was a lady who then asked me to lift my hands up, and she body patting, checking and making sure that there was nothing on me. So be prepared to undergo the searches. It's standard procedure that's applicable to everyone that undertakes this test. So I got allocated a computer which I set, and it already was pre-populated with my information that was uploaded earlier, I guess. And there's information that I needed to input, such as my confirmation of my ID, my names, and click submit. At this point, the test is ready to start. When I say start, it's so lenient in that you get given about 3 test questions, practice questions, just to give you a feel of what you can expect. And these don't count towards your mark, but they are meant to give you an idea what you can expect. So you start clicking away at these 3 practice questions. Only at this point does your time allocation start, which is 45 minutes. It doesn't start when you start practicing, if that makes sense. So 45 minutes is a lot of time. It gives you just under 2 minutes per question. I imagine, given that there's 24 questions, 24 would be 48. Yeah, if it were 2 minutes, yeah, it gives you just under 2 minutes, just under 2 minutes per question, given it's multiple choice question. It's also important at this point to not dwell on the question that you feel you are very uncertain about. For me, if I write that kind of question, before I even look at the answers, I'll have my answer in mind already. And coming down to the selection is just confirmation of what I already knew. So I just go with the first answer that comes to my mind. Some of the questions are true or false. So it's quite easy. And as I said in the beginning, of the 24 questions, you're expected to pass 18, and say for the first 18 you get them right, that already is a pass, at which point there's not even a need for you to continue, but I still continued anyway, just to be on the safe side. You just never know what rules you're violating by getting too excited and standing up too early before you submit the test. And if you're unsure of any questions, just pass it and go to the ones that you're sure of, and hopefully one of the questions along the way will trigger your memory and you can remember the ones that you've passed. But the point being not to spend too much time on one question where you're stuck and hoping to recall the answer to that question. Just move along, keep it moving until you're done. You'll have enough time at the end of the session to review your question before you submit. There's really no pressure at all. The biggest emphasis here being on reading the questions properly and not rushing answering them. If it means reading it more than once, so be it, to satisfy yourself that you have read the question and understand what it requires of you. So once you're happy and you're finished, you've submitted the file, I was told to stay put, which was about 5 to 10 minutes at the most. I couldn't leave immediately. Just before leaving that room, I got told that I could go now and I had passed the test. Yay! And I was also told that an email would follow shortly that confirms that I can retrieve my results from that link that would be sent to me. And on the way home, that email came through and I could then access my results. At this point, I was free to go back to my locker to collect my belongings and hand over the key. And it's worth noting that people who sat for this test just before I did were issued with a hard copy, which is a one-off result that you will ever get for the test. There's no other proof. But at the time when I went, perhaps it was due to the pandemic, I got sent a link which I still have to date where I can access my results, and I did that, printed them and took them with me to my appointment. So things keep changing all of the time. Who knows, when your time comes, it could be that you get issued with that document, with that one-page document, which you cannot lose. If you're that person, make sure to scan the document, send it to yourself in your emails. Like I said earlier in the video, this Life in the UK test result will be a requirement of part of the documents you need to upload in order for you to apply for your indefinite leave to remain, your permanent residency status in the UK, so you can see the importance thereof. In the unfortunate and hopefully unlikely event that you do not pass at your first sitting, it's not a big deal. Brace yourself to go and resit for this test one more time. Make sure you change something about your preparation and see where you might have gone wrong. But with these tips and with this ammunition in your possession, I'm hoping you'll be lucky at the first sitting. And the resit or retaking this exam for the second time, you're only able to do after 7 days, and you can resit, you can take the second, third, fourth, however many times, and hopefully it doesn't get to that. And each time is going to cost you £50. But why go through that when you can just take ample time to prepare once and get it over and done with. And if you have passed, if you do pass, a huge fat congratulations, you're well on your way to becoming a permanent resident in the UK. After 12 months of this time, you are then eligible for the British citizenship. Good luck in your quest. Let me know where in the process are you, where in any of the stages are you, and whether this video has been in any way helpful. I hope it has been. Please don't leave the channel without subscribing, without liking the video and commenting below. I look forward to our meaningful engagements. Your support is highly appreciated and much needed. Thanking you for staying with me till the end of the video. I'll see you on the next one. Light and love.
I can do it like you.